Mourinho still needs to win the Champions League with Real Madrid. I'm sure he thought he'd never get that monkey off his back. Damn, I'm going to leave, damn it. Look, I didn't win it, the 100-point league title and all that, but I'm going to leave without winning a Champions League with Real Madrid. Well, no, Mao, you're going to win the Champions League with Real Madrid. I'm telling you, you're going to win it. You're going to win number 16. Number 16 is yours.
Is the board ready in case money comes in for Camavinga in the last few days? Does someone have to have a backup ready so that it's as close as possible to the player Real Madrid needs in midfield? So you can say you and activate a deal with so little time? Tell me yes or no. Nacho Peña, welcome back to the channel. How long have I been wanting to see you bring out your usual optimism in what I think is the most important year for Real Madrid in recent seasons? How are you, man?
Miguel Serrano, my friend, Optimism has arrived on your channel. Of course it has. I'm with you. The most important year because we're coming off 2 trophyless seasons. This is a rare occurrence. We've experienced this, yes, a few times, right? When Mu arrived the first time, desperate times called for desperate measures. We were coming off 2 trophyless seasons, the last one with Pellegrini, and Mon arrived to fix things. Well, in a critical moment, a man who delivers immediate results. And that's Mr. Jose Mourinho.
It's just that they call me a bit of a sourpuss because I see things that don't quite add up lately, even though, well, there are still things that don't make much sense. And that's what we're going to talk about. That's the main point of this video, right? The question of whether the transfer market is over for Real Madrid or not, I have my pet issue, which is about the midfield. I want to talk to you a bit about that more from a football perspective, but above all, I want you to tell me what you know about it. About what's going on inside Madrid, if they're actually looking, if they're still looking for something like that, because they went after the best in that position and didn't get him. And now it turns out that we're not going after anyone. Well, man, what do you want me to say? I don't get it, especially considering the fact that you've spent years trying to find a replacement. More than Luka Modric, though him too, Toni Kroos, someone who can bring that pose in the midfield, which I think, and as Mourinho said the other day, would be the icing on the cake, right? Because it would be the icing on the cake. The icing on the cake for this Real Madrid, which is a very complete team, very complete. They've had a great transfer window. And hey, this has to work well no matter what, right?
Yes, they've had a great transfer window. It's true. It's the icing on the cake. Before I said it on Amu, I was talking about it with people saying that's what's been missing, right? Anyway, you say, I don't understand why they wouldn't sign someone if you're going after Rodri, why not go after someone else, right? Yeah, because if you're going after Rodri, theoretically, you need a guy in that position. Look, I think we all believe that for the past 2 seasons, since Toni Kroos left, we've needed a guy in that position. To me, that's undeniable. The club doesn't see it that way, or at least Florentino definitely doesn't see it that way, because you know that Florentino, in the end, I mean, at first they weren't going after Rodri. At first, I mean, before the World Cup. It was considered, they thought about it, like, should we go after Rodri or not? But they weren't going after Rodri. I know there are people who talk about meetings before the World Cup, but as far as I know, no. Before the World Cup, the idea was, we're not going after Rodri. The World Cup ends, and that's it. The kid's performance is so impressive. The possibility of signing him, the interest from the player who had been saying since November, saying Real Madrid is the best club in history and all that. That in the end, let's say there's a bit of that within that group, within Real Madrid, that yes, they did want him. They somehow make Florentino see, hey, we have to go for him and we believe this is the right moment. And Florentino gives the green light. And from there, what you all know happened, the matching offers, and with the offers being equal, the kid chooses FC Barcelona. FC Barcelona. I mean, what can you do? Tie him up and bring him to the capital? Well, you can't do that either. A feeling like, hey, it seemed like we were closer and all that. But I'll tell you one thing, and with all my heart, and I've defended this in many discussions at the COP this week and so on, I think we've wanted it more. The journalists, the fans, and the people close to Real Madrid, that were close to seeing Rodri wear white. And Real Madrid really did, and then Rodri himself really did, okay? Both of them. Because Madrid went for it a bit at the end, almost because the script demanded it, and there was no other choice. And maybe he hasn't shown that passion like Florentino slamming his fist on the table. How much is this guy? 120? No, but you can't keep him, so 140 and he's mine, Real Madrid hasn't shown that. Not to the point of I'm desperate to get you and Rodri. Man, you asked for a 4-year contract at 30 years old and they gave it to you. You asked for 15 million net and they gave it to you. And we were leading the race and you went with the ones who suddenly showed up.
You weren't exactly dying to go to Real Madrid either. Let's not make up stories. I mean, and Real Madrid wasn't exactly dying to get you either.
Nor has Rodri exactly been desperate to join them. So, well, maybe they just weren't meant for each other and we can't keep regretting it, right? No.
It's clear.
Anyway, I'm telling you, and this is just some info beforehand. When I asked after the World Cup if the possibility of Rodri was real, for the first time, they told me yes, that it was a real option, that it could happen. But they pointed something out to me, and there are videos out there of me talking about it. They told me, anyway, Nacho, there's overcrowding in the midfield. We have 7 players right now. If Rodri comes, we'll have 8. And there are 3 spots. If we want 2 players for each spot, that's 6, not 8. So 2 are left over. Yes, 2. If it's going to be Rodri, we have to move some players on first. And I think he was pushed a bit down the priority list, and they went for Diomande, and Real Madrid got caught up with other things, which maybe is something that hurt the kid. And I'm not saying I can't understand it, that they weren't exactly desperate to sign you. But you know what I mean? I think there were a series of circumstances that we haven't fully taken into account where Rodri wasn't absolutely essential and where Real Madrid takes this into account. This is what I'm telling you, what they told me, which is that we have too many players. That if you want someone to come in, if you want a guy to join, someone else will have to leave. And the same goes for now. When I ask, I say, hey, the transfer window is closing. They tell me, look, it's just that if we want to bring someone in and sign someone for Real Madrid's midfield, someone will have to leave first. And that someone is Camavinga. We all know it. That someone is Camavinga. If Madrid had its way, it would have moved on 2 players, Camavinga and Asensio. But Asensio, as it happens, gets injured, so they can't let him go. And Camavinga, they can't get rid of him no matter what, because the kid doesn't want to leave Real Madrid. He just doesn't want to leave. Maybe tomorrow United comes, since it seems they're interested, puts 120 million on the table, and they all talk him into it. But he just doesn't want to go. And if Camavinga doesn't leave, no one else is going to come. And in the center of defense, Mulo would love for someone to come, but since Asensio isn't leaving, no one is going to arrive. So as he said, can we really say the market is 100% closed? No, we can't be sure, because tomorrow United could come, take Camavinga, and then you'd have a spot open. And yes, you'd go for a midfielder. But if no one leaves, no one is going to come in.
This is important because I know people already. Not everyone, though. Would have started saying things like Rodri's widow and I don't know what else. No, what Nacho just explained is a great way to start this video. To understand all the context, the information he had, and above all, to try to understand the path taken by Real Madrid, by the top management of Real Madrid, in relation to whether or not to strengthen the midfield because of what we've just been through, because they also have eyes just like us. And besides, they are the first ones who have to realize that they're missing a certain type of player there. The one we had with Toni Kroos back in the day, also with Modri, but above all with Toni, which hasn't been replaced at Real Madrid. And now they find themselves with an overcrowded midfield. But with someone who suddenly appears as a specialist for the position the club needs most. And that's something they're trying there. But that's why I asked Nacho to know exactly what they want, because that's what we're getting to. And now we're moving forward. People shouldn't think we're just here talking. We're giving context to the situation. To know what Real Madrid wants, if that condition is absolutely essential, it has to happen in order to sign. Which player would they look for? I mean, if tomorrow Manchester United makes a last attempt for Camavinga and he says, well, look, I'm not going to play much or whatever, okay, I'll go, which is very unlikely to happen because that's not the way things are going. But anyway, who's in the pipeline right now? I mean, who would they go for? Because a lot of names are coming up, Ward, Donkey Smith, and so on. But with the same profile as what we were looking for, what was being sought, that defensive midfielder who can hold his own, or that player to accompany Tchouaméni.
En dat wees van het schijnen wij zo wie voor een beetje top en stand out on bones.
And Rodri.
No, Florentino loved Buadi. Florentino loved him.
Buadi, yes, okay.
Florentino loves that one, but I mean, let's say it's too late. It's going to be an expensive bidding war. That one won't be possible. And the other one is Enzo. But with Enzo, you've already gotten involved and you've taken Cucurella away from Chelsea. So let's say you have a good relationship with Chelsea and Chelsea has told you, damn, man, now on top of that, don't take Enzo from me, you know? I mean, taking two in the same summer is going to be complicated. So I would tell you that those two in the end, Florentino has a lot of impact on the final decisions as president of Real Madrid. That's how it is.
It's always been that way.
Io che mi castai per name one glad and we have to fight it to the other side we keep each other get the end of the club that's why it matters. Then it's true that there's a scouting department at Real Madrid and there are players like Wharton who they really like, but Wharton would also cost you a lot of money and Crystal Palace doesn't sell cheap. Keith Smith might still be seen as too young to take on that role. You know? And so that's the thing. Doors are closing because the ones you like the most aren't available. The one you've tried for, in the end, has ended up tricking you the way he did. And then on top of that, you have too many midfielders. So this leads us to say, I think we're going to stay as we are. Miguel, we're going to stay. And for me, like I'm not the banquet concert, what thanks for on the context and share a bit of the information I have. And another thing is that I don't think it's unnecessary. Of course, I think so. I mean, of course, I think Real Madrid needs a midfielder, playmaker, someone who controls the game, call it whatever you want. You know what I mean? Real Madrid needs that specific profile. I don't know. Maybe they should do something crazy and go after this body guy. Maybe that's what they should do. And maybe I would have done it before doing something crazy for Diomande. Look, I'm not saying Diomande isn't a strategic signing and that it doesn't make sense. Because you had completely lost that right wing without Rodrigo, even with Mora Mastantono and with Brahim. I mean, it was a totally lifeless wing last year. Ever since there was nobody there, teams were getting in down that side. I'm not saying it's not necessary, but maybe for me, and I'm not just talking about Rodri, for all of them, the one they're missing is Rodri. No, another guy. I think that's the finishing touch. It's the little weakness that Real Madrid has and that I would have reinforced. I totally agree on that. I think it's the position we should have reinforced, and I don't think it's going to be reinforced at this point.
Look at what Mourinho said after the first match in the press conference. Bernardo has the ability to organize. He alone isn't enough for that. I mean, Bernardo is not a central midfielder. He can help at the base of the play in creating the game, but that means the guy you have next to him, who yesterday was Fede, has to be the most defensive version of Fede, not the most offensive one. And Mourinho said getting forward is his strength. When it's Tchouaméni, it's better for Tchouaméni to be there, but then you'll be leaving Fede on the bench because understanding Mourinho, Bernardo Silva will always play there because Mourinho is the one who knows that to play out from the back well. Tchouaméni and Valverde, no, they won't do it. Camavinga and Tchouaméni won't do it. Camavinga and Valverde, neither. They're always going to need Bernardo there. And maybe even when Bernardo isn't there, Güler drops back, which is something you mentioned in your video. In the video we did on your channel. Therefore, you're always going to have someone unhappy there. And also, it's clear that Mourinho only needed one player who could handle that position. Especially because since the four up front are going to play, you're only going to have two there. So in this regard, because a lot of people say, oh, stop whining and all that. No, it's not trivial. The problem Madrid has in midfield isn't minor. And it really annoys me because the team is amazing up front. The team is amazing at the back. We've signed the best left back in the world, Cucurella. We have one of the best, Dumfries, who I love. I like him because he goes up and down the wing, which is wonderful. There are a lot of Miles gladiators there. Signing Espe was a great move because you covered a need you had there. Also the left back, also the right winger. All the needs covered in a great transfer window. Now, what's still missing is a holding midfielder. It's something that really annoys me. Can we get by during the year without it? Well, maybe we can, but then you have to start making things up. You're going to have unhappy players. Someone like Fede won't be able to give you as much in attack as he could because he has to focus more on defense since he's playing alongside Bernardo Silva. These are just stopgaps that a club like Real Madrid shouldn't have because if you're going for the best, you have to sign him. And if not, then go for the second best or the third best. That's what you're saying. Bodai is someone Florentino really likes. Maybe he's the second or third best in that position. But City almost has him already lined up. And on top of that, they're talking about an amount very close to what was already paid for Diomande, which isn't going to happen twice. And so, of course, it's a bit of a vicious cycle, man. And in the end, we end up without a defensive midfielder. That's what I complain about. But then anyone comes along and says you're still hung up on Rodri and all that. Well, the usual, right? The cliche, stop crying. No. It's just that, damn, we worry about Madrid. And it's not just us saying it. It's Mourinho himself who's saying it too. I have a problem there because I'm using players out of position or players who have to cover two roles when we could have one who does it all.
Yeah. I mean, in the end, Bernardo's going to do that job. I mean, the job that was originally planned for Rodri, supporting the other holding midfielder, because Mo will always play or usually plays with that double pivot. It will be Bernardo handling the playmaking duties. We've already seen him drop back to get the ball and start the play. He drops almost to the defensive line or to the defenders to ask for it. I was at Riazor. I was there. I was paying attention. He drops that far back against Sal, and he did it in a very obvious way. Yesterday as well, Bernardo started off very well. He had 25 sensational minutes. Then he disappeared from the game. It's true that this Real Madrid is still short of match fitness, and that's quite noticeable. But Bernardo is going to be at the core of it. And if Bernardo were to get injured, God forbid, knock on wood, you would have to move Guller down to that position. He's the only other one in the squad who can do that job, even if just a little. And as we're saying, the one accompanying him will be Valverde or Tchouaméni, who's the most positionally disciplined guy you have on the team, tactically speaking, the one who holds that position, recovers the ball, passes it to the guy next to him, and so on. That's Tchouaméni. So Valverde and Tchouaméni are going to compete for that spot, and they're going to have to sit on the bench at certain times. It's a weakness. I mean, I can't think of anything else but to admit it. And let's hope that with these stopgap solutions involving Bernardo and Guller, by moving Valverde, Verde, Tchouaméni, Camavinga in the slot next to him with the sharp Bellingham up front, sometimes accompanied by Guller, well, with this and with Mo getting the commitment from that attacking front, from those four guys up top, which is fundamental. I mean, what we haven't talked about, which is also the elephant in the room, not even Carleto in his second year, nor Javi, nor Arbeloa. And now it's Mourinho's turn. It's about getting those three men to work. That is Vinicius, Mbappe, and Bellingham, so they can blend within the same team. And now also add Diomande and convince them not to become the new France, meaning not to become a team where the players up front fight their own battles and the ones at the back do their own thing or just do what they can and roll up their sleeves. But for this, Mo, it gives me hope, Miguel. And this is where I want to bring in some optimism because Mo, if there's one thing about him, it's that he's a guy who, in the first and second year, your players buy into everything you say. Everything you say, I mean, they buy it all. We saw it here the other day. We've seen it with all his teams. And when it's a top-level team, I'm not talking about when he went to Fenerbahce. I'm telling you, he's a guy who has an idea, and the players follow him. Maybe it lasts 3 years because by the second year, people are already fed up with him because he's intense, persistent, always involved, always pushing his ideas. But he's a charmer, man. I mean, he's a guy. First, he makes the team compete. And second, he gets them to buy into his idea. He convinces the players of his idea and they buy into it. Not like poor Carleto in his fourth year or like Xavi or like Arbeloa, who couldn't get anyone to buy into his idea. Everyone was just doing their own thing. With him, they buy into his idea. So if he manages to win them over, if he seduces them, if they buy into his idea, if they all work together, if they become his gladiators, those weaknesses can be covered up. They can be covered up. And in La Liga, well, that's when you come in and win La Liga. And in the Champions League is last year he almost won it with everyone doing their own thing. I mean, if what happened to him in Munich hadn't happened, Madrid in the Champions League is something else. Madrid with bursts of energy, with the weight of the badge in the Champions League. And besides, that's another thing. Mourinho still needs to win the Champions League with Real Madrid. He was surely thinking that he couldn't get rid of that thorn. Damn, I'm going to leave. Damn it. Look, I didn't win the 100-point league title and all that. But I'm going to leave without winning a Champions League with Real Madrid. Well, no, Mo, you're going to win the Champions League with Real Madrid. I'm telling you. You're going to win it. You're going to win. Number 16. Number 16 is yours, Jose Mourinho.
It was going to be the 10th, and now it could be the 16th.
It's going to be number 16. Trust me. I don't know if it's this year or next year because on the third try, I think with my boom. But I think we're going to experience 2 years. Besides, that's what they hired him for. They hired him to get everyone in line. That's why they hired him. because, well, that's it. We were talking about the context. The last time he came was after 2 trophyless years. He signed guys who deliver immediate results. Dan Freeze is a guy who delivers immediate results. Bernardo, immediate results. With Konat, immediate results. He's the kind of coach who comes in and wins trophies right away. And then a couple of young kids, which were needed. I mean, Madrid, that's what we're saying. They've signed really well. They've achieved a lot. They've opened up the field with Diomande. They've found a solution like Jose Luluque. We didn't have that up front. And the defense, everyone was injured. They've added 3 more pieces. All the positions are doubled. Bernardo is a great guy, a 10 out of 10. He hasn't signed a midfielder. Well, not exactly. He has signed Rodri, and we're missing a piece. But he has signed a midfielder and a very good one, a real playmaker like Bernardo. It was just one little extra touch away from a 10 out of 10. The touch, then, that's Mo. He's the one who has to compensate for it. A great coach has to compensate. Look, hey, Guardiola came up with a center back who suddenly became a midfielder and won the Champions League. If you put Stones in the middle there, right? Well, now, the touch, will I trust that extra touch if we're going to be missing that piece? The one who has to solve it now is Jose Mourinho.
Of course, just to finish, if then Camavinga leaves,
Even if you don't tell me a name, because it's clear that there are a lot of names out there.
the board is prepared in case money comes in for Camavinga in the final days. They need to have someone in reserve who's as close as possible to the player Real Madrid need in midfield so they can say, you, and activate a deal with so little time. And Messi or not.
Yes. Yes. Also, because when I asked, that's what they set as a condition. I mean, I want to tell you, I've always said, but is another guy going to come in? And what they've told me is that if no one leaves, it's impossible for a guy to come in. And what are the positions? Well, these two, the ones I told you about, these 2 players are the ones who could possibly leave. Asensio, you can rule him out. It's Camavinga. If Camavinga leaves, yes, Real Madrid will be ready to sign a midfielder in his place. But if that spot doesn't open up, forget about it. Forget about it. And Camavinga, listen, just so people don't get false hopes, he doesn't want to leave no matter what. Yeah. I mean, the offer could be great and the project attractive.
Yes, it's clear. H&T, hey, we'll keep collaborating here. I mean, this year is looking good. You're reactivating your channel. You're still going to those places where you hold court. And that's it. We'll be listening to you all year long.
Yeah, we will be up for a part. That's true. We'll be on 2 different continents again. But let's see if we can keep the connections going, man.
You're going to do great, Miguel. I'm really glad you're going back there. No. Look, I'm going to have you far away. But I know that professionally for you and your family, it's good, as they say nowadays. And that makes me happy and satisfied. And success will come back. Don't worry. This year, number 16 is coming. Trust me.
All right. In football, in life, professionally for us, and of course for Real Madrid. And also the most important thing is that things go well for Madrid, because if things go well for them, they go well for us, right? Although many people think that if things go badly for Madrid, they go badly for us too. No, it's about things going well. Well, Nacho, here's a big hug, man.
A huge hug. Take care. Bye.
Like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, also to Nacho's channel. Like the video we made on his channel. Hype up both. You'll still have a 3rd chance this week to hype, but hype up both. And that's it. See you in the next one. Bye.